To the weather now, and a report of a possible tornado touchdown in southern Kentucky.
Yeah, it looks like there was a touchdown. There's a lot of pictures kind of floating around on Twitter. At this point, we can't really verify the authenticity of those, but we'll continue to look at that. This from Chris Turner here in our newsroom. Central Dispatch in Logan County is reporting heavy damage to the east of Adairsville. One home destroyed. Firefighters and the police are checking for others. There's no reports of any injuries right now, and the damage is along Price's Mill Road from the storm that occurred around 3. That's what we know as of right now. Our newsroom's working on more information. This is basically in southern Kentucky, and they will get that information to us, and we will share it with you as quickly as we get it. We've got a thunderstorm right now that is severe right now from Hart County. Severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern time for Hart County. This one does include the Munfordville area, and then the watch still is including Hart, LaRue, Marion, Taylor, Greene, and Adair County. There's no tornado warnings out there right now, but there's still that storm that's rotating, and we're watching it very, very closely. The storm that I'm talking about right now, this little area on the edge here, it doesn't look like much of a hook right now, and it certainly doesn't look like what we saw in the Simpson and Logan counties earlier. But with that said, it's still showing signs of rotation. Hail to the size of peas has been observed. We could see hail up to the size of 1 inch, and the area of rotation moving off to the east, which puts it in Litchfield Crossing in about 8 to 10 minutes, in Hinesville in about 15 to 18 minutes, and in Rio in 20 to 23 minutes. We're watching the storm closely. If any other warning was to be issued, we would obviously bring that to you immediately. And this storm here that's near Greencastle, the National Weather Service right now has a severe thunderstorm warning on it, but they are mentioning in the header of that warning that a tornado is still possible. So there are a couple of areas in southern Kentucky that we continue to watch now. If you're wondering in the metro, would this occur for Louisville? No, we're not even under a watch. This is generally speaking south of the Louisville area, and you can see the tornado watches extending from south of New York City into the Carolinas on this storm system. What we have outside in Louisville right now is still a mostly cloudy sky. We're at 76 and dew points come back at 63. Winds are west-southwest at 11 miles an hour. Looking around the area, we're in the mid-70s right now for the most part. And Advanced Track shows the storms are gone in the next 3 hours or so. As we move into the afternoon tomorrow, it's going to be hot. And wait till I show you what we've got in store for us on Wednesday. 65 tonight with a 10% chance after sunset. For Louisville, from this point into the evening, I really think we're looking at about a 30% chance. For tomorrow, our high temperature comes in at 90 degrees. We will be between either 89 or 90. Now, Mike, if we don't hit 90 tomorrow, we will hit 90 on Wednesday. In fact, we're going to go way above 90. Mike, I'm going 94 degrees on Wednesday. No question we're going above it.
Mark Weinberg's WDRB weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
Well, we've been talking about this apparent tornado in southern Kentucky, and we've got a pretty scary looking picture now.
I mean, you know, and we'll refer to it as apparent until we get confirmation from the Weather Service, but you can see the picture here. It definitely shows that a tornado did indeed hit. This image is courtesy of Sean Gregory, and we're getting a lot of pictures that are coming in. This one we have indeed been able to verify the authenticity of. Right now, what we know is Central Dispatch is reporting heavy damage to the east side of Adairsville in Logan County. That's along the Tennessee border. One home has been destroyed. 0 reports of injuries right now. I just want to show you something. I don't know if I can stand in that image. Can the guys in the control room just key me in this? I would, if it's possible, like to just stand in there for a second. What you're looking at here on the edges is the wall cloud. This area right here is where a tornado forms out of, and then you can see right in the center. But this is a classic looking wall cloud, very, very mature looking storm, and this occurred right around 3 p.m. Over to the weather graphics, and let me show you what we have left over here. Still a severe thunderstorm watch for LaRue, Marion, Hart, Greene, Taylor, and Adair County. Now, we do not have any warnings right now, and this is in effect until 11 p.m. This is the location, and I wanted to plot the storm report so you could see. Notice you go down 65, you get to near Bowling Green, and that is where the tornado occurred. That's where Logan County is located. Looking at this, continuing to pinwheel, you can see the heavier storms are now moving into that watch box. We still have a slightly rotating storm in Hart County. I'm watching it real closely. If anything changes, I would have updates. And remember, I'm on Facebook and I am on Twitter. It's just Mark Weinberg, and it's Mark with a C, and I'm really easy to find. You can stay plugged in, whether you're in front of the TV, whether you're at home, whether you just have your cell phone. Facebook is a very easy way to stay plugged in. Our temperature right now at 76. We've got a dew point of 63 degrees, and we've got warmth building. While we're in the 70s, it's 92 degrees in Little Rock, and we've got dew points that are well above 60 area-wide. Now, looking at advanced track here, watch the temperatures during the day tomorrow. 86. That's warm, but it's not that bad. Now, here's the reason I'm going to keep a 10% in there for Tuesday night. There's just a slim chance in the northern part of our area of a couple of these showers getting in. Now, let me show you what happens on Wednesday. The data here shows westerly flow in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Now, traditionally speaking, that pushes stronger and severe storms east of our area. And what you'll notice is, yes, we get rain showers and thunderstorms in here, but you don't see a lot of those reds in there. Storms Prediction Center agrees. They're going with the slight risk of severe weather north of our area through around Cincinnati. I agree with this. I think this is more of the kind that would go through Ohio in terms of severe than that would come through Kentucky, but we'll watch it. 65 tonight with just a 10% chance after sunset. Really, these thunderstorms are heat of the afternoon. For tonight, we'll drop to a low, for tomorrow afternoon, we go up to a high of 90 degrees. Now, I'm going to go 88 to 90, but I have no question we go to 90 on Wednesday. 94 is my high. We get a cool down for Thursday with some showers and thunderstorms. And Mike, looks like the first half of the weekend looks really nice. Friday through Saturday in the 80s. Well, the storm that we had concerns about during the 4 o'clock newscast, we talked about it moving across Hart County, has now gone to a tornado warning, and we have history of some of these storms producing tornadoes. So what we're going to do is we need to cover this thing, and we're going to go through this tornado warning and stay with it for a while so you know what to expect as the storm moves across the area. Let me take you over to graphics so you can see where the tornado warning is in effect for. Tornado warning in effect right now for currently Adair, Greene, and Taylor County. This is until 5:45, and this storm has kind of been cycling for the last couple of, I would say, hour and a half or so, and then intensified here right as it's going over Greensburg. Now, this storm is basically right on top of Greensburg, and this is what kind of concerns us, the fact that it is sitting right over Greensburg. So Jeremy Capel and I here are going to kind of assess and dissect this storm. Let me show you the areas where we're continuing to see the most intense rotation. Jeremy, as we've talked this afternoon, when this storm got to Greensburg, this was the area we're concerned about, and I think you would agree, area of rotation going right over Greensburg as we speak. So this is the area that we're concerned about. And Jeremy, if you could, let's zoom in a little closer on this storm so I can get specifics on it. But it's basically right on the junction, right over downtown Greensburg right now. So here's 68. This is Greensburg. Now let's go in, Jeremy, onto the hook part of this storm, the area that is most significantly rotating. Now remember, when we're looking at the potential for rotation on something like this, what we try to find is a hook on the storm. And if you look at this storm, you can see how it hooks back around the west side. What that's telling us is that there's rotation within that storm. And then what it does is it pulls the rain around the back side of that storm, and that's where you get the potential for a tornado. Now, from a rotation standpoint, it looks like the rotation is the most intense right now over Greensburg. So if you live in Greensburg, it is indeed time to take your tornado safety precautions. You want to get downstairs. You want to get to the lowest level of your home. You want to avoid the outside walls or any windows because those can collapse. You want to keep away from windows and just basically if you can get into the center part of the house. Now what you see is the tornado warning extends through the Hatcher area, through Romine, and Jeremy's going to track. Notice where he's tracking. He's tracking the southwest side of that storm because that is where the tornado would occur. Although you see the red here north of Greensburg in the core, that's not where a tornado would occur. It would get pulled down around the southwest side. So Roachville in 12 minutes, 22 minutes it'll be in the Romine area, and 26 minutes from now in Kellyville. Jeremy, I saw you take a peek over there at Storm View 3D. What kind of rotation are we seeing on this? By the way, did you just put that on or is that just on there?
No.
Okay, then we have a tornado debris signature then that's now occurring here on this storm. That it makes this a little bit more concerning. We're going to actually look on Storm View 3D to find out if we can actually see the same thing here. Right now, it's saying that there may be a tornado debris signature. Jeremy, I'm not sure I completely agree with that.
I don't see it showing up on row.
Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take you over to Storm View 3D, and Jeremy's going to show you. Now, Jeremy, what you're looking at on the left is radar, and on the right, what's that you're looking at there?
What we're looking at is a sampling of the atmosphere, the particles, and what we're looking at is regularities in these particles. And what we would see somewhere down here very close to the hook would be green and blue colors that are appearing. They're not appearing in the correct location for us to be able to identify what is known as a tornadic debris signature. Now what we are seeing though is some broad rotation. When we turn this over to velocity, you can see it looks like the rotation may be even tightening up a little bit here, but Going gate to gate, we're somewhere around 56 knots there, Mark, so somewhere around 65 miles per hour.
So if this was producing a tornado right now, we'd be talking about probably a weaker side tornado. But look, we have seen some tornadoes already occur on some of these storms, so we need to take these pretty seriously here. Going back over, I'm going to take you back to the warnings that we have in effect here as we go back over to the actual maps with the watches and warnings. So Hart, LaRue, Marion, Taylor, Greene, and Adair County, you are under a severe thunderstorm watch and then tornado warnings in effect for Greene, Taylor, and Adair County. Now, one thing I would ask you to do, if you see a tornado and you can safely view one, if you're south of Greensburg, safely, let me just say that for the third time, safely, please, you can contact me on Facebook or on Twitter. I'm just really easy to find. It's just Mark Weinberg on Facebook or on Twitter, and I'll be asking for your storm reports. If you can let us know if you're looking in Milltown North, do you see a tornado? I'd like to know. If you can safely view from Kane Valley, I'd like to know what you're seeing here. If you can safely view that tornado, come onto my Facebook page or Twitter and let me know. Now, Jeremy, we've been watching these storms, you and I here. A lot of times you and I work together during the day, not necessarily seeing us on TV overlapping, but we always watch this stuff kind of during the evening. And these storms, it looked like Litchfield is when they started to rotate. Munfordville, you and I were talking a lot, and now we have that rotator that's occurring near the Greensburg area.
Yeah, it's an interesting setup, Mark. I tell you, we have what we call a upper level low pressure system above us right now. We don't have a tremendous amount of heat energy or moisture, but these are what we call low top supercells, and you can tell they're not your really large classic style supercell thunderstorm that you would expect to be responsible for tornadoes. These are of a smaller variety, kind of a smaller scale, but they can produce significant tornadoes, and we did see an example of that out of Logan County earlier today near the town of Adairville. Now, it looks like as we go back over to Storm View 3D that we are seeing more of a signature showing up here in this last sweep of radar. Mark, tell us what we're looking at here.
Well, Jeremy, it still shows about, I want to show you here as we look at Greensburg so you can get an idea of what we're talking about. You can see the rotation just south of Greensburg. Now, roads I would put this on would be William Dial Road, where that junctions with Blowing Springs Road. So if you live on Blowing Springs Road, where it junctions with William Dial Road, that's the area where we're seeing the most significant rotation. Now, I'll show you again what we look for and what we refer to as a tornado debris signature. We would look for some of these bluer colors right near that hook, and that's not what we're seeing here. So there's nothing on radar specifically that speaks volumes to me saying tornado. With that said, we continue to see rotation of about 50 miles an hour that's moving past the Greensburg area and then ultimately towards the Knifley area. We're going to do, again, a track here. Jeremy and I will kind of go through the area of the storms. And, Jeremy, I know that this is not the only storm, so people are concerned about the whole area.
Yep.
Let's do a quick track of the whole area. And you can see as I take it out a little bit wider, in the metro, if you're concerned about severe weather or tornadoes, we're not looking at anything like that right now. We've got just some showers right now showing no signs of rotation near Hardinsburg. We have watched some of these storms near Litchfield, and these interest us as well, and I'll show you why. Notice this storm south of Litchfield, while it doesn't have any lightning on it, you can see on the back edge of it, it still kind of has one of those tails. And this is exactly how the storm that's moved off to the east started off. So we need to watch these as well. Now, as we go to the tornado warn storm, we're going to go through some of the roads and we're going to track that out into the future again, Jeremy, so we can see some of the locations specifically that are going to get affected here. This is near the Horse Cave area, just a thunderstorm. Let's go back now to the tornado warn storm. And what I'm a little concerned about is that this area, this hook, is on the southern edge of this warning, and maybe that warning needs to be pushed down south just a little bit further. But Gresham right now, it is over your area here. So Jeremy, take me in real tight just so I can get these roads right where that hook is located right now. And just keep on going. Okay, we've got 68 where that junctions with 565. 61 junctioning with 565. That's where, if there was a tornado, it would be occurring right now, near the Graham area. And you need to start to think down that line. And notice Jeremy is doing that storm track right on that hook area that we're watching. So this means it's in the Gresham area right now. It'll put it in Haskingville in about 10 minutes. So it's time to take your tornado safety precautions in Haskingville. If there was a tornado on the storm, it would be moving in your direction. We don't have confirmation yet. Jeremy's going to be watching both the National Weather Service chat and Twitter. You can tweet us and let us know what you're seeing if you can do it safely. Coburg, 17 minutes from now, and Kellyville 19 minutes from now. Jeremy, you've been kind of watching some of the social feeds. Are we getting any information from viewers in the field right now safely that are able to view the storm?
Well, we are getting some information from the Weather Service, kind of gives us an idea of the reason that they did warn this storm. They said a wall cloud was reported to the east of Greensburg.
Okay.
This is via a trained spotter. And now we're getting storm reports from the Greensburg area of thunderstorm wind damage, saying trees are down, but it did report it as thunderstorm wind damage. It did not have that tornado tag associated with that.
Okay, so, and as Jeremy just mentioned, the National Weather Service is reporting that a train spotter reports trees down. You know, first off here, I know people are missing their Judge Judy right now, and look, you know, we understand, Jeremy and I have no desire to just sit here and talk on TV. We would much rather just kind of have a drink of water right now and relax a little bit. But the reason we're doing this is because we have reports of damage here, at least in the Greensburg area, and we know that's the area that the rotation went over. While we can't say that it was a tornado or straight line winds, we still are seeing rotation in the storm, and it requires us to make sure we protect our area. You know, I know it's not over Louisville right now, but we would just ask just a little bit of understanding here in that situation. A spotter report just now as of 5:27, so 3 minutes ago, that we do have a wall cloud east of Greensburg. So, Jeremy, there's at least a wall cloud east of Greensburg, and that goes well with what we're seeing on radar. That does make sense. You're kind of been looking at the two sides of radar. We can look up into the thunderstorm, we can see rotation, and we can actually see if debris is lofted in the air. And we do that through 3D. First off, about how much rotation are you seeing on the storm, and do you think we're seeing any indication now of that tornado signature?
Well, so far about the most I've seen in shear, or the amount of circulation that we're picking up on radar aloft, is somewhere around 55 to 60 knots, which would put it around 65 to 70 miles per hour. So that much velocity with the storm, and that's where you see these brighter reds and the brighter greens coming together there on the right side of your screen. Now, what we continue to look for, what we call is that tornadic debris signature, or a TDS as we call it, and I'm going to place a marker over where we believe that storm would be located, and it does not line up well with the image on the right. We're looking for blues, we're looking for greens, and we're not seeing that, which is a good sign.
I agree, and you know, as a my expertise being in radar, I would totally agree. I think Jeremy's spot on here. Now, Jeremy, it does look like a mature supercell, though, and that rotation here on Greensburg. Last time we talked, you mentioned about 51 knots. What are you seeing right now in Storm View HD? The actual supercell itself looks like maybe having a greater hail threat now because it's more mature. So I would say north of Cane Valley by about 7 miles. Be prepared maybe for some 1 inch to 1.5 inches hail, and maybe even as large as 2. And your rotation you're seeing?
48 knots.
Okay, 48 knots. So from a intensity standpoint, we're seeing about the same intensity that we have seen here. Let's go back over to Storm View. We'll go to the warnings here. And what you'll notice is warnings continue here for Greene, Taylor, and for Adair County. And we're going to stay with this simply because we feel like there is definitely a risk of tornadoes. Again, I know that you're tuning in to watch Judge Judy, and I don't want to sit here and annoy anybody. We just want to make sure that people are protected. Louisville's not in the warning. This is not a concern for Louisville, but for Greene, Taylor, and Adair County, we want to emphasize, and I hope by our actions we're showing you are important to us. This is not about just one area. We cover the whole area equally, and if there's a threat to life and property, we're going to cover it. Let me go back over now to Storm View HD, and Jeremy, I'm going to take the clicker here while you continue to check social media sides of things so that we can kind of operate on both sides and keep an eye on what's going on across our area. And this is the storm that's of most interest to us. This is the one that's been showing the rotation on it here and continues to show signs of rotation. We've seen at some times in this storm these little rotation areas that are occurring here, and I put them back on the storm for you. What we refer to these as is tornado debris signatures. Now, sometimes these will form and indicate that a possible tornado is on the ground. We're getting some of these signatures trying again to form on the western side of the storm here. So this is the area that we're watching. Now, Greensburg no longer in the tornado warning, so the National Weather Service does indeed have a new update. And let me see what they're saying on the latest tornado warning here. And again, just a reminder, Jeremy is indeed watching our social feeds, find me on Facebook. It's Mark Weinberg, Mark with a C. Jump on there. Let us know what you're seeing if you can do it safely. And let me know on Twitter what you're seeing. I will indeed respond. This is kind of like an interactive way that we can talk to you about what's going on. National Weather Service at 426, what they're saying is that the storm's moving east at 25 miles an hour. Spotters still reporting a lowering wall cloud at 527. Trees being down, reported down in Greensburg. And the storm continues to show strong signs of rotation. So a tornado could touch down at any time. Ping pong size hail, which is getting bigger, getting close to golf ball size hail. National Weather Service warning if a tornado forms, mobile homes could be heavily damaged or destroyed. This is not the time to get in your vehicle and drive. We've had, after the Oklahoma tornadoes, this was something that was talked about a lot, how people thought it was safe to get in the vehicle. I cannot emphasize enough. You don't want to attempt to drive away from this. New radar image just coming in right now. Jeremy, let's spend a little time here going through this again. I'm concerned about a hail core right now, and we'll kind of dissect a couple parts of the storm. What I'm noticing here on a lightning strike, they're up. They are up a lot. Two things that tells me: the air's rising faster in the storm, so that means the updraft is more intense, the lifeline of the thunderstorm. Second, that means that the hail core is probably getting a little more intense near the Romine area right now, south of Yuma. And third, there's been research to show when lightning strikes increase, it normally will increase the tornado potential. And the lightning strikes increased over the last hour or so. The area of rotation here is continuing to go from basically right south of Romine by about 4 miles right now. Here is State Road 55 here. Let's get some of the junction on some of these roads again here, Jeremy. Take me in a little bit closer just so I can kind of read off some of those roads where people would need to watch here. 55 where it junctions with 565 here. This would be the area where the rotation is going over. 55 junctioning with 565, so Kentucky State Road 55 and Kentucky State Road 565. This thing's moving off to the east. Let's track that to the east at 25 miles per hour. Remember, there is strong rotation, and we're continuing to see those lightning strikes increasing. This is a sign normally that a tornado could indeed be forming. In 8 minutes, it'd be near the Coburg area. 10 minutes from now, it'd be in Kane Valley. And 16 minutes from now, it would be in the Holmes area. So remember, this is right along the southern edge of this tornado warning. That's the area that we're most concerned about. Jeremy, let's go back now over to Storm View 3D and take a look at a radar perspective. And what I'm going to show you here is two sides of the storm. On this side, we actually can look at the core of the storm. Now, on the other side here, what we're looking at is rotation. This is the area that we're watching for rotation. Here's Greensburg. There's Kane Valley, and Jeremy's looking at this area right here. Jeremy, you're pointing that icon, the little mouse there so people can see. What are you seeing on rotation there? And remember, you can hover over those roads to give specifics.
Well, what I'm looking for, Mark, of course, is I'm looking for velocity. We're looking for air that is moving towards the radar, air that is moving away from the radar right now. And what I'm seeing is about 46 knots, so that's actually down further from where it was a little bit earlier.
And we're still talking about something that absolutely could produce, the EF1 style tornadoes here. It appears that a tornado formed earlier. And when you're looking at that tornado debris signature, what you're seeing from Jeremy is he's looking at two different things, one on the left and one on the right. Jeremy's trying to find on the right. What our radars can do is they can tell if debris is lofted up in the air. And if that happens, normally you go from those pink colors right over to the blues and greens. Jeremy is now pointing to the southwestern side of that storm, and what he has done is put that red dot on there. And I'm going to actually come over to this wall so you can see the areas that Jeremy will look at, and so I can kind of give you an idea what he's doing. What you'll notice is this little red dot right here, and I'll put my finger on one side, and then the red dot's also right there. So Jeremy, by looking at these two red dots, what are you seeing? Now, I notice you're seeing pink around where we would expect to see a tornado. What does that tell you?
Completely benign. That means that there's no evidence that we have debris lofted where you would expect that tornado to be.
Okay, so we don't have what's referred to as a tornado debris signature. We're still looking at radar indicating rotation here. This is what we're continuing to watch here. Jeremy's trying to post to Facebook and to Twitter here, so we'll be able to give you information from multiple sources. This is the only tornado warned storm in our area.
Yes,
so,
it is.
And the rotation, the rotation still looks strong enough to absolutely justify a warning in our coverage. And at the point that we don't feel like the tornado warning or there's no risk of a tornado, we're going to dump out of the coverage here. But as of right now, there's really no reason to believe that this thing may not have produced a tornado in Greensburg. There's at least trees down, and I'm not sure I would believe that those necessarily were straight line winds at this point. I mean, it really showed strong rotation when it went over Greensburg.
No, and the storm, this storm had similar characteristics as the one that we saw down there in Logan County out towards Adairville earlier, and that certainly produced a tornado and perhaps a significant tornado. So these storms are not too different, so we want to be careful with this one as well. It has had a long history of producing rotation. Right now, we've got the warning up for you there. It does include southern portions of Taylor County and also northeastern sections of Adair County. And this warning goes until 5:45. So for Eastern time, or 4:45 Central time, so about another 6 minutes from now. And this tornado warning is in an area that is covered by a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 11 o'clock this evening. But I really think that severe threat here will be over the next hour or perhaps two for those far southeastern counties. That's not the only storm we're looking at, but it is the one that we're most concerned with. Now, you can see here just by the lightning strikes alone, this is the one that is producing the lightning. It's producing quite a bit, and especially there near the center of the storm, which can mean it's strengthening. Mark.
And we just got a report now from the National Weather Service of a wall cloud near Cane Valley. So we're getting at least reports again of wall clouds on this storm. And the National Weather Service just said they're going to extend the warning downstream. So this is concerning to every one of us, to the National Weather Service and us as well. I don't think there's any disagreement. And the fact that those lightning strikes are really increasing makes us very concerned that this could indeed produce a tornado. Remember, you know, I know people in Louisville sometimes are like, well, it's not in Louisville. Okay, there's dangerous storms. Just please keep in mind, there's people that are underneath the storm that could be getting hit by this. And if this was in Louisville and you're watching on TV and we chose to put on Judge Judy instead of the tornado warning, I think you'd probably be mad at us. So it is our commitment to this community to make sure that we protect them in the situations where there's a threat to life and to property. And we already have damage here. National Weather Service feels strongly that they need to continue tornado warnings. We've got what's called a right-moving supercell. Notice how this kind of is putting on a right move over the last couple of minutes from a lightning strike standpoint. I mean, notice they're just exploding on this storm. Everything to us tells us that this guy is definitely trying to produce a tornado and may have already produced a tornado in the Greensburg area. So we're going to continue to stay with the storm as it continues to move off to the south and east. What I'll tell you is we're probably going to need about another 20 to 25 minutes of coverage. There's the new tornado warning just issued here. And Jeremy, I'm going to let you track that real quickly, and I want to read what the National Weather Service's latest warning is so we can get that out here quickly. Okay. Track that. We're still moving east, by the way, at about 25 miles an hour per the latest warning from the National Weather Service.
Now, I will say this, according to reflectivity, it does look like it's getting its act together.
I would
agree. At least it's trying to.
And it looks like, you know, it's a circular, mature supercell. It really looks like the kind of storm that we would expect to see try to drop a tornado. Right. And still, by the way, no TDS on this storm. There's nothing that shows necessarily a tornado debris signature here, but Cane Valley, I mean, this is about to head right over Cane Valley.
Yeah, it is, and about 5 minutes from now, maybe a little bit less than that, if you know anybody that lives in the Absher neighborhood, about 13 minutes from now, 22 minutes from now from Christine, Purdy 24 minutes from now, and Ella within the next half hour. It looks like it's going to be in your neighborhood, but it is beginning to tilt a little bit more towards the south and east.
Okay, and what we have from the latest tornado warning, the National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning now until 5:10 Central or 6:10 Eastern. That there's a tornado 7 miles, or capable of producing a tornado 7 miles northwest of Columbia, moving east at 25. And what you'll notice on the last warning, and this is something Jeremy and I talked about, is I didn't like that they didn't include, I thought the tornado warning should be a little further south. Jeremy, I think they've kind of picked up on that. The National Weather Service, that new warning, looks like they're picking up that rotation was running along the southern edge of that warning, and they need to include that warning. Now, Columbia not included in the tornado warning, but just north of Garland and Cane Valley. Look, you've got to get to your tornado safety area right now if you live in the Cane Valley area. National Weather Service is still stating a potential tornado here. What they're saying they're not indicating any tornado on the ground at this point right now. The National Weather Service, in their chat information, all they're saying at this point is that a severe thunderstorm is still capable of producing a tornado. Now, we know that it did indeed produce some type of damage in the Greensburg area. At this point, we're not sure if it was tornado or if it was straight line winds, but I think that there's enough of a concern that we're going to need to stay with that. But the tornado warning The downstream warning is for Taylor and for Adair County under a tornado warning right now. Area that we're watching the most closely on this storm is going to be the southwest edge of that. So this is going right over the Mount Gilead area, and it's going to be in Cane Valley in a minute or two. Cane Valley, it is time to take your tornado safety precautions. Kellyville, you got to get into the tornado safe spot right now. Absher, you need to get in your tornado safe spot, and then Holmes, you need to be in your tornado safe spot. Now, from a perspective of how this would be, and if you're wondering in Louisville, in southern Indiana, do you need to be concerned? And the answer definitively is no, you don't. You do not. But our southern counties do need to be concerned right now. Still lightning strikes occurring to the north of the center area and in Greensburg. Still some rain moving through the area. If you're in Greensburg, now the storm has passed your area. I would love to hear on either Twitter or you can find me on Facebook. It's just Mark Weinberg, and it's Mark with a C. Just let me know what you're seeing. If you did see a tornado move across your area, we'd like to know. We would like to share that information. Right now, and by the way, again, you know, for Taylor County and for Adair County, I know that sometimes it feels like you're left out. I hope you know on WDRB that's not the case. We cover whether it's the biggest city in our area or the smallest city in our area equally. We're not going to do that to you, and we're not going to just leave you hanging when you're under a tornado warning. So Cane Valley, right now the area of rotation is sitting right on top of you. You can see Cane Valley through the Absher area, through Holmes. This is that core of rotation here. The area that we would be concerned about is moving right from Kellyville through Cane Valley. You've got to get into your tornado safe spots right now in these two areas, Kellyville and Cane Valley. If you can get into your tornado safe spot, now's the time to do that. Purdy, that storm's moving in your direction as well, so you've got to get in your safe spot. And then the hail core itself moving through the Holmes area and through basically just over the Knifley area. Now, I want to give you a perspective. Some of the times you can actually see what a storm looks like from a 3D shot. So I'm going to take you over to Storm View 3D so you can get an idea of what this storm looks like. This is a 3D perspective of that storm, looking at it from the Columbia area. Now you can see the top of the storm extending out to around 36,000 feet. So we've got the area of rotation, the top of that storm around 38,000 feet high. It's amazing actually to look at a storm from a 3D perspective. And then you can see the area of rotation are these kind of arms and fingers that are extending down through the backside of that storm. That is the area of rotation. I'll show you here. This right here is that area of rotation getting wrapped around the back of the storm. And notice there's kind of a hole right underneath the storm. What we're seeing is the storm rotating so much that it's pulling this rain and wrapping it right around the backside of that storm. And that's the area of rotation right here. Again, for reference, there is the Columbia area. Jeremy, it's always remarkable to see these storms from a 3D perspective. You kind of get a lot of insight into what's going on with the storms.
Yeah, it does, and it's remarkable what the technology allows us to do. Here's another view that Mark was looking at, kind of looking at it from the other side of the storm, but definitely a storm that we need to watch. It's not your typical type of supercellular type of storm that you associate with tornadic activity. Oftentimes, those storms can get up to 40, 50, sometimes 60,000 feet. That's not a storm of that nature. It's not quite that tall, but it is robust, and it does show plenty of circulation with that, and that's why we're on the air right now, as we have had the reports, multiple reports of wall clouds, possible funnel clouds with this, and it is showing plenty of signs of rotation. We'll take you back over, show you where the warnings are. What we're concerned with is far southern portions of Taylor County to the south of Campbellsville and northeastern half of Adair County, and that's just to the north and east of Columbia. You're underneath that tornado warning. That goes until 5:10 Central or 6:10 Eastern Time. The storm in question producing a tremendous amount of lightning.
It is. It really has picked up here, and that's one of the things that concern us a little bit. You know, when the lightning strikes go up, Jeremy, normally from a tornado perspective, that means the storm is trying to indeed tornado.
And it's also really focusing on that area that you would expect there to be the highest circulation or the possibility of tornadic activity, which is also not necessarily a good sign. It's located very close to Cane Valley right now. You can see the town of Absher. It's heading your way. Mark, what you got?
We just got a report now out of Columbia. They can see the rotation within the storm. So the wall cloud being reported by Aaron Campbell just north of Columbia. Tree branches down in neighbor's yard. Lisa Caswell. Lisa, thank you out of Greensburg for letting us know And some of the people, it's interesting, you know, you get kind of people, Jeremy, that'll say, Judge Judy, can you put it back on? I want to watch it. And then you have the people that are underneath the storm that are saying, thanks for watching out for my family. I just want to remind people, you know, if the tornado's over your town and it's your family, your wife, your children, do you want us to leave you be and just say, okay, read on the bottom of the screen? It's just not the way it works. If that's what you want, we're going to get Judge Judy back on when the tornado warning's done. We have people's lives and property that are more important, and that's what we're going to cover. And
just know that a lot of these Judge Judy shows, a lot of them are reruns. You can probably catch them again if you wait around long enough. Right now, Mark, we've got some broad rotation that has it's increased quite a bit, actually. And now we're getting the new data that's coming in.
Okay, and that hail core still looks pretty strong just north of Cane Valley. You've got to be prepared for that hail.
Okay, and velocity on this latest round actually came back down, but it looked like it was up closer to 60 knots, which was higher than what it was showing before.
Okay, so, and you know, can I just see the rotation again real quickly? The only reason I ask is I want to see if that's showing itself along the radar beam. Unfortunately, where you see that purple there, that means we have bad data coming in from the radar, and that's unfortunate because that's where I think that area of rotation is. And then we have what looks like an updraft just to the east of the Cane Valley area here. I'm going to go back over to the wall, Jeremy. Let's transition to Storm View 3D. And if you could, let's go full screen now to one of these and then the other. I'd like to start off with, let's go reflectivity first, and then we'll go back over to the other. So this is the area of rotation near Nifley. So just north of Nifley right now, we've got an area of rotation and a hail core here. So northeast of Cane Valley. Now this is based, excuse me, let me go back and say that again. So southwest of the Nifley area. This is where the hail core is coming. So if you live in Nifley, forgive me if I'm getting that wrong, you need to be prepared for a hail core possibly just to your south. And then this is the area of rotation right over Cane Valley. Now what I want, Jeremy, if you could, let's go back, let's do two things first, Jeremy. What I'd like to see is NROT values on this. We haven't looked at NROT in a while. NROT's what we refer to as normalized rotation. In the thunderstorm, we can use Storm View 3D to look into that storm and tell us if there's any rotation. Now what you see here is some blues. And I will tell you in our area traditionally when you start to get to greens, tornadoes occur. And I say this when we're looking at Storm View 3D, green means go for a tornado. So we're not looking at that right now. And then let's go back over to now the velocity data if we could, Jeremy. And when we're looking at velocity data, what we're looking for is where the greens and the reds are next to each other. Now we know that the radar is up here. So that means to us that the area of rotation would have to be here. The greens and reds in this area indicate that the wind is coming together, and that's likely the updraft of the storm. The area of rotation exists in the area of Cane Valley, west and east. There's a couple of areas of rotation here, and then where you see this purple, that means that there's bad data coming in. So this is unfortunately a little bit obscuring some of the vision on the side that we'd be looking at, but we know that that hooks right over Cane Valley, and that's our area of concern that we're continuing to watch here. Jeremy, storm looks like it's maintaining intensity, has continued to maintain intensity. The tornado warning's in effect till 6:10, and it'll probably be out of our area right around 6:05 to 6:08. So in this time, what we're going to continue to do is watch our friends that continue in Taylor and Adair County that are under a tornado warning right now.
Okay, and as Mark, you did say it's in effect until 6:10. That would be Eastern time. That would be 5:10 Central time. Northeastern portions of Adair County to the north and east of Columbia, and just a sliver left over from Taylor County. But I'll tell you this, if you live in Taylor County, you're good. That circulation is not in your county. Here's a look at the storm from Storm View HD, and we've got the lightning put on there. Now, this is not the only storm, but it's the only storm of any real significance. You can see we do have additional thunderstorm clusters across southern portions of Greene County and into far southern Hart County. Got a little lightning activity with that. Really of little concern. You can see this storm much more robust, the one that we are tracking in the middle of that tornado warning, with those deeper purples there likely indicating where we are seeing some hail falling just to the north of the Absher area along Highway 551. Yeah, and is that showing up on, if we go over to Storm View 3D?
No, I'm not seeing that right now. I wonder if that's an aberration in the radar or not. I have to see on that. That also kind of correlates well with where we saw some of that bad data rolling in. So that's something we're going to have to watch here to see what's occurring there. If that does indeed show up again on the scan, I'd be a little more concerned because that could be a donut hole forming, and if that occurs, normally you can get a tornado occur. Let me get you the latest from the National Weather Service right now. reporting at least 3/4 size hail near Campbellsville. This was reported 55 and 1701. And just to the north, we've got reports right now of definitely a lowering in northern Adair County. So there's definitely reports being reported of lowerings on the clouds. There's lots of reports of damage coming in out of Greensburg, but no confirmation. So, Jeremy, many reports coming in of damage out of Greensburg, but no tornado. Jeremy, that was right, by the way. It does appear that there's some type of a hole occurring in the center of that tornado. That's now showing up on 3D as well.
Okay.
So this may be the signs that a tornado is trying to form again here. Now it's off to the east of Kane Valley. So if you live near Purdy, you've got to get inside right now. Tornado safety precautions downstairs. You want to get underneath something. If you can get into the center part of your house, that's going to be the safest area, and you've got to keep away from windows. That area of rotation right now, I'm seeing it along the junction of Vester Road here, where that junctions with Curry Road. So Vester and Curry, if you live there, take your tornado safety precautions immediately. Downstream of that, that'll put it on Liberty Road, where that junctions up with Christine Road. So Liberty and Christine, if you live north of Garland and north of Columbia. Now, if you live in Columbia, you probably can see that area of rotation to your north. We're talking about literally only 4 to 5 miles north of Columbia. Columbia, I don't think you're in the tornado danger, but I do think you could still see some lightning strikes. And from a rotation standpoint, you know, I'm just not sure if this thing is cycling or not. I'm starting to see the lightning travel now to the back of the storm, Jeremy. This may be a sign that we're seeing some weakening occurring, and the rotation looks like it's broadening out a little bit on StormView 3D. What do you think?
Totally agree, Mark. With that rotation, not nearly as focused as it was before, and it does appear to be less intense as well.
And only now, Adair County is now the only county left under the tornado warning. The National Weather Service lifted the tornado warning here for Taylor County. Latest statement from the National Weather Service just coming in. Let me take a look at that for you. National Weather Service continues to keep a tornado warning in effect until 6:10 for Adair County. We're going to stay with this. I think
now this is interesting, Mark. Now, while the tornadic threat seems to be decreasing, that's a pretty good hail signature.
So, and locations on that hail, what roads would that be going over right now? This is on the northern part of Adair County. And that kind of goes well with, if you look at the purples, you can see quite a bit of hail showing up there.
Okay, Mark, that is that hail core that we're looking at on the right side of your screen. That is over Harris Road, Snake Creek Road, and it is approaching Liberty Road. So again, we're talking about northeastern Adair County, north and east of Columbia, and just to the north of the town of Garland. Looks like a sizable hail core.
And I'm going to take you back over to StormView HD right now. What you'll notice is right where Jeremy said, between the Absher area and Garland, we've got a hail core that's forming now. StormView HD will give us an indication of hail size. It's showing up to 3 inches. That's probably aggressive. But the outer size here showing 2-inch size hail that's moving around the Absher area, that's probably legit. So you've got to, you know, let me tell you ahead of time, Purdy, Ella, get your vehicle inside immediately, protect it from hail. Ella, you've got time. Sano, you've got time. Webb's Crossing, you have time. If you're in Garland, Absher, you don't have time. Your vehicle should already be inside. And if you live in Christine or Purdy right now, you've got to, again, be prepared. The potential for hail existing here along 206 in Christine and Purdy. That is the hail core here. From a rotation standpoint, let's see what StormView HD shows. And you can see we're not looking at high levels of rotation being shown on the radar. I think if I get another scan where we're seeing rotation this low, I'm going to release back to programming. I don't want to keep you captive here if I don't feel like this is indeed producing a tornado here. So what we'll do is we'll give it another scan, and then if the rotation continues to look the way it does, I notice the storm itself doesn't have the hook anymore near Kane Valley. It looks like it may be transitioning into more of that hail threat. This is the Purdy area here. Notice the lightning strikes are coming down somewhat, and I mentioned earlier that when lightning strikes come up, it traditionally means that the tornado threat may be increasing. So with this going down here a little bit, what we'll do is stay with this one more scan on the radar, which will probably take in the neighborhood of 2 to 4 minutes. Once I feel comfortable that the tornado threat is lowered, we'll go back to programming. But in the Eunice area, in the Pelleyton area, be prepared for potential for hail to the size of golf balls. Purdy and Eunice, this can do damage. You know, get the vehicles inside. Don't go out in the car and drive your car to a gas station and try to get under cover. You know, you're still under a tornado warning. The vehicle is the last place you want to be. But if you can safely get them in east of Purdy along 206, if you can safely get the vehicle under cover, it's a good time to do that to protect yourself, protect your property, obviously from hail. Everybody in Louisville knows what that kind of hail can do because we had this occur in the Fern Creek area a couple years ago and just did so much damage. So we're going to continue to watch the storm. I think the tornado threat, Jeremy, to me looks like it may have come down just a little bit, and one more scan, if it continues, we'll probably go back to programming here. What are you seeing or hearing on the social side of things? Remember, you can find me on Facebook or on Twitter. I'm easy to find. It's just Mark Weinberg, Mark with a C. If you find me on Twitter, it's Mark Weinberg WX, and I'm on Twitter. When Jeremy's talking, I'm on Twitter talking, so that gives you the opportunity to directly stay in contact with me. Jeremy, are you getting any more reports or people letting us know of anything that concerns us?
Currently, I'm not getting any reports of any more damage from the area. We had that one report of some tree limbs down across portions of Greene County, but since then, really none. We've had several observations coming in of lowerings underneath the storm and possible funnel clouds, but overall, it looks like the threat seems to be going in the right direction.
You know, I agree with that. And we, our newsroom goes out and calls, obviously, when we go on the air during this to find out what's going on. We called Taylor County, and we have called Adair County. And what they're saying right now is the emergency managers are saying no reports out of Taylor or Adair County of damage or touchdowns. They're just saying that they're getting a lot of reports of dark, low clouds from Adair County emergency manager Greg Taylor as of 5:55. So I think we're probably about 1 or 2 minutes away from releasing. If you're coming into Judge Judy at 6, we're going to probably release you here in just a minute or two. I just want to get one more scan in here to make sure that the rotation continues to weaken. To me, it looks like on radar that this thing is kind of lost its intensity. And normally when that happens, it will take a little time for the storm to reorganize itself to try to produce a tornado. So if indeed the rotation is weakened enough that I feel comfortable in releasing you back to programming, we will. But from a hail standpoint, that is still a concern. It's not a reason for us to cut in. So if that's the only threat, we'll let you know that the hail core continues to be a problem for the eastern part of Adair County. So this is Purdy, this is Eunice, and this is the Dunville area. But if that rotation continues to stay down on this storm, I think it'll be time to go back to programming. It's continuing to broaden, continuing to look like it just doesn't look to me like it's a imminent threat of producing a tornado right now. I think let's just do one more full scan of the area. And with the rotation coming down a little on this storm, what I think we're going to do is go back to Judge Judy, and if the rotation intensifies, we'll bring it right back and cut back in. But, let's take it out, Jeremy. What I'd like to do quickly is just do one more view of the area here. So Louisville off to the north. If you're in Louisville, worried about a tornado, don't be. This is not the area of concern. The area of concern is off to the south, where a severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for Hart, Taylor, Greene, for Marion, and for Adair County. Tornado warning remains in effect for Adair County here, just east of the Columbia area. The storm does not show any hook on it anymore. The rotation has broadened somewhat on it. Purdy, a hail core is possible. Lightning strikes coming down to Neatsville. You continue with the possibility of some strong winds to 60 miles an hour and hail. Since I think that the tornado threat is lowered somewhat for our area, what I'm going to do is now take you back to Judge Judy. If this intensifies at all, we'll continue to update here for you right here on WDRB. And if you want to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, we will continue to update. I'll keep it on here for WDRB for continuing weather updates. Well, you may have noticed on the bottom of your screen that that little crawl that was on there is gone right now. The National Weather Service has canceled the severe thunderstorm watch. Last time we spoke, I said there's no way they were going to let it hang on until 11, and they didn't. So our area clear. Here's the tornado again from Logan County. Now, this is the one that occurred in southern Kentucky. It's close to I-65 near the Bowling Green area, but just off to the west. It did damage a home. No reports of injuries right now, but this looks like it's probably going to be maybe, I hate to say without seeing all the damage, but it's probably going to go down at least maybe as an EF2. Looking across our area, the showers and thunderstorms continue to drive to the south. Now, this is a system producing a lot of severe weather. Notice the tornado watch is all up and down the east coast. Behind it, clears out. Let's see what's behind it in the temperature department. Right now, we're coming in at 77. Dew point is still high at 63. Well, winds are out of the west. Maybe to our west, the dew points drop and the temperatures drop. Let's look at those readings, the air temperatures. Oh, no. 91 in Little Rock? Oh, no. 95 in Wichita, and our winds are from the west? Dew points to the west. 61 degrees from St. Louis, 68 in Little Rock, and you probably should be saying a double. It's going to get hot. Advanced track shows tomorrow. Advanced track's taking us to about 86. I think we're probably going to be between 88 and 90 degrees. I'm not going to guarantee you 90 tomorrow, but I am going to guarantee it on Wednesday. Now, a couple thunderstorms could get in here on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and I'm going to courtesy that with a 10% for Louisville and a 20% northeast of the metro. On Wednesday, watch the thunderstorms. The heavier ones go off to our north and east. Now, sometimes when you get these clusters of storms to the north, they can drive their way into our area. And what you'll notice here on Advanced Track is it's not showing that. The question then becomes, do I believe that? The Storms Prediction Center shows north of our area from Indy into Ohio under a slight risk of severe weather. Again, the question is, do I agree with that? I'll tell you what I think. Normally when we get these large clusters out of the Indy area or northern Indiana that drive off to the south and produce large swaths of damaging winds here, the wind energy aloft is out of the northwest. The wind energy on this situation is out of the west, means it pushes the storms east. And I think the Storms Prediction Center Wednesday night has this beautifully placed. I am critical when I don't agree, and I am supportive when I do agree. The Storms Prediction Center has a really good forecast for the severe weather risk on Wednesday to our north and to our north and east. 65 tonight, 10% chance. I think the showers are going to die down after sunset, so that's why I only have a 10% chance. For tomorrow, our high comes in at 90. Now, you'll notice that 10%, that's really for tomorrow night, and it's generally for our northeast counties. And into the extended forecast, look at Wednesday. It's going to be sizzling as we approach 95 degrees. Rain and thunderstorms Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Friday's the day to take the long weekend at 82 degrees. And Saturday, David, will be the lower humidity of the weekend days at 86 degrees.
All hot stuff. All right. Thank you, Mark.